Friends, welcome to worship with First Presbyterian Church of Bend. My name is Stephen, and I'm the lead pastor here at First Pres, and I'm really glad that you joined us. We at First Presbyterian try to practice what we call a spacious Christianity, where there's room for everyone. All are welcome, always, no matter where you might find yourself on the spiritual journey. We welcome questions and doubts, and we believe that diversity is a gift and a strength. And we try our best to live the spacious and radical love of Jesus, where all in this world might have a chance to flourish. We worship in person on Sunday mornings at 8:30 and 10 a.m., and we would love to have you join us. I'm super excited today to welcome as our guests Jay and Caryl Casbon. Jay and Caryl recently published this really quite extraordinary book, beautiful book called Side by Side: The Sacred Art of Couples Aging with Wisdom and Love. The book focuses on how couples might thrive and grow in their relationships in the final years of their lives. Jay and Caryl will be leading a retreat for couples interested in consciously aging together with wisdom and love at First Presbyterian this coming Saturday, October 7th, from 9 to 4 p.m. You can find more information on our website at bendfp.org. Today, Jay and Caryl will be sharing Where Two or Three Are Gathered, the sacred art of relationships. So again, welcome. And I pray that our worship will really bless you today.
From the highest of heights to the depths of the sea, creation's revealing your majesty. From the colors of fall to the fragrance of spring, every creature unique in the song that it sings, all exclaiming, indescribable, uncontainable. You place the stars in the sky and you know them by name. You are amazing, God. All powerful, untamable, awestruck we fall to our knees as we humbly proclaim. You are amazing, God. Who has told every lightning bolt where it should go? Foreseen heavenly storehouses laden with snow. Who imagined the sun and gives source to its light, yet conceals it to bring us the coolness of night. None can fathom, indescribable, uncontainable. You place the stars in the sky and you know them by name. You are amazing, God. All powerful, untamable, awestruck we fall to our knees as we humbly proclaim. You are amazing, God. You are amazing, God. Indescribable, uncontainable. You place the stars in the sky and you know them by name. You are amazing, God. You are all powerful, untamable, awestruck we fall to our knees as we humbly proclaim. You are amazing, God. You are indescribable, uncontainable. You place the stars in the sky and you know them by name. You are amazing, God. Incomparable, unchangeable. You see the depths of our hearts and you love
God of friendship, I come to know your love and care through the embodied presence of others. Weave me together with kindred spirits. Knit me more closely with friends of the soul. Cultivate in me a kinship with humanity, so that I recognize my struggles and joys in others. In my loneliness, reveal to me this communion, and may I be a solace to others who ache for connection. Transform me through conversation and loving presence. Help me to see how I am part of a great circle of pilgrims, witnesses, ancestors, and mystics who guide me to true connection with you. Gather me into your great wide heart, so I might discover I am never separate, but always held in love.
Almost 5 years ago, right outside in the parking lot of this church, Caryl and I had a conversation with two members of this congregation, Kathy and Dick Malone. That conversation led the four of us to embark upon a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. One morning on this trip, I found myself at the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem, praying amidst hundreds of voices of observant Jews weeping, davening, and in some cases, shouting their prayers in apparent, unbridled, chaotic devotion. Despite the incessant roar, I was somehow able to pray deeply, almost as if I had a prayer tailwind gently pushing me. As I leaned forward against that ancient wall, suddenly, the cacophony disappeared as I found myself in a space of inner silence. I then heard a crystal clear voice intoned deep within me, not from my head. Don't overthink it, Jay. Just know that I am. For me, that moment was the beginning of a journey that has led me back to all of you right here at First Presbyterian to claim and share a full circle of experience. During our Holy Land pilgrimage, the four of us also made our way to the Mount of Beatitudes, a hill on the Chorazin Plateau by the Sea of Galilee. We visited the site where it is believed that Jesus delivered the Sermon on the Mount, which contained the Beatitudes. One of my spiritual teachers, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, claimed the Sermon on the Mount as the core touchstone of the ministry of Jesus. When Bonhoeffer addressed a Lutheran church congregation during the dark time of Germany in 1942, he explained that Jesus used this radical sermon as an explanation that God's world included the world of people, relationships, and all of nature, an outright integration of faith right into the realm where each of us lives every day, and where all of us are related in the body of the universal Christ. Bonhoeffer inspired us to write the 15 Beatitudes of marriage in our book, which focuses on bringing the fullness of our faith into our daily living of our relationships, living completely in God's being with the people closest to us. When we returned from this trip, I had a dream that shaped our next 5 years. Actually, it was more of a commission that we should film, interview, and write about retired couples, and then begin a ministry by offering our findings through a book, film, clips, retreats, and small group work. We bought a Winnebago motorhome, traveled over 10,000 miles across North America, immersing ourselves in extended 3-day interviews with couples and eventually publishing our findings in the side-by-side, The Sacred Art of Couples with Wisdom and Love. It was released last June. It was a rare and treasured privilege to spend this unique time with couples in the privacy of their homes. We are here today because of this dream and all that we have learned along the road. Our marriage has benefited immensely from our encounters with these loving couples.
With Jay sharing his story of the Wailing Wall brought back my memories of that trip to Israel. It was one of the best trips of our lives. And as we arrived in the Tel Aviv airport, it was Christmas Eve, of all things. And as we got off the airplane, there were about 6 Jewish children, Orthodox children in little black suits and side curls, and they were running and screaming through the airport. And we couldn't keep our eyes off them, and they ran, and what they did was they came to this Torah that was hanging on a pillar, and they jumped up and touched it in total glee. And we looked at each other and we realized we have truly been transported to a different world. And having just gotten off the airplane from the secular scene of the U.S. airports with CNN droning in the background, we knew we'd been transported to a different land. Also, while we were in Jerusalem, we noticed that the traffic almost disappears on the Sabbath, and our elevators in our hotel stopped working, and the food was served cold on the Sabbath because they wanted the workers to have the day off and relax. And what happened for us was we realized there was a longing with us to experience our spirituality more deeply integrated into our daily living and into our relationship, and we felt envious. So when we returned home and set off on our RV adventure to interview couples, one of the most important questions we carried with us was, how can our marriage, where 2 or more are gathered, powerfully embody and support our spiritual lives and be held as a sacred art? As Christians, we know the greatest of the commandments is to love one another and love God. And where else is it more important to do so? Yet our marriages and our family lives are hard, and sometimes we actually find them the most difficult places to exercise our capacity to love. They can bring out the worst and the best of us, and they certainly are humbling. The bishop of the Episcopal Church, Michael Curry, claims that the opposite of love is not hate, but it's unbridled self-centeredness, and that we are living in a narcissistic culture where individualism is worshipped. Quoting from Rabbi Hillel, who some people believe Jesus actually studied with him, he was Jesus' rabbi, he said, "If I'm not for myself, who will be for me? But if I'm only for myself, what am I?" Love seeks goodness and the welfare of others, not just ourselves. And our relationships are a daily opportunity to practice this. Yet when Thomas Merton was asked what it was like for him living in the monastery, he said, "I stand up and I fall down, and I stand up and I fall down." This is true of our relationships as well. They are truly humbling. So in that spirit, we would like to share with you 3 of our Beatitudes for couples, which capture some of the wisdom that we gained about relationships on our road trip. And the first one is the dance between me and we. Blessed is the couple who dance with the tension between me and we, for they will know companioning without loss of self. Most couples privately express some trepidation about, after years of working and traveling independently in their careers, about retiring together to the smaller confines of their homes. We start asking questions like, well, how much time alone or together is a good thing? How do we negotiate our privacy needs and balance them with our needs for closeness? So how do we balance our needs for space and autonomy with our needs for intimacy? Relationships need and thrive with strong boundaries, and we often have to revisit them. It took Jay and me some time to work out this intricate dance between me and we. Too much me leaves us isolated. Too much we can feel like we're losing oneself. In our interview with Rick and Marcy Jackson, Rick addressed this dance when commenting, "The me and the we has been a changing dance as a couple. We are both alone and then together rather than a mush of togetherness. We've had to learn to lead and then follow with each other." While many retired couples downsize their homes, we found that we actually needed more space to create separate offices for privacy when aging. There's this natural draw towards more interiority and solitude as we get older. Respecting Jay's introverted nature and need for solitude and silence, as well as my extroverted temperament and leading towards community, has been a critical part of our dance. We now observe days of silence when we agree not to talk until dinner. This simple practice is incredibly renewing. Also, with more freedom and time on hand, we find it a new level of intimacy as we begin to slow down, offer one another more presence and attention, and study books together, practice centering prayer at the end of the day, and sharing deeper conversations about our growing edges. We've learned to make the most of our time with these practices in this intricate dance of me and we.
Another beatitude I want to lift up is, "Blessed is the couple who welcomes the stranger, for they shall find wonder and encouragement on their growing edges." It's no secret that over the life of a relationship, we undergo massive developmental changes brought on by children and family losses and health challenges, work demands, and the natural evolution of moving through the stages of life. We interviewed two rabbis, Lori Rutenberg and Gary Schoenberg, who introduced us to the conceptual framework that became this beatitude. They married after attending rabbinical school together in Israel in their 20s and soon created a home in Portland, Oregon, where they call Gesher, where they have welcomed over 8,000 unaffiliated Jews to sit down to 3-hour Shabbat meals and other Jewish ceremonies. Their commission was to create a village where Jews could learn the rituals and customs of their faith. By welcoming many strangers, they quoted the Babylonian Talmud, which claims, "Welcoming guests is even more important than communing with God." Welcoming the stranger means extending hospitality to the new, the unknown, the very foreigners in our midst. On an inner level, we feel estranged from time to time from ourselves and from each other as we naturally evolve, grow, and change. Illness can function as the initiation into a new stage of life and instantly change us. For example, 8 years ago, I underwent treatment for cancer and developed a life-threatening infection during the hospital stay in critical care. I realized I was done with my 40-plus year career in higher education that had defined my life. I instinctively knew I needed to retire as fast as possible. To survive this ordeal, cancer eliminated the props of my own identity and no longer served me well. Suddenly, I morphed into a stranger to myself and to Caryl. This set us off on a journey to reimagine our identities and our marriage, which evolved a willingness to listen deeply to where life was calling us now and surrender what was once so important.
Yes, that change that Jay talked about really did take us some time to adjust to, and we really had to be together in that. The final beatitude we wish to share is, "Blessed is a couple who cares about the other's needs as much as their own, for they shall enjoy the fruits of mutuality." This beatitude addresses what Bishop Curry names. We need to find ways to balance our self-centeredness and learn how to hold out for the goodness for both of us as a way of practicing mutuality. I really had not thought much about the word mutuality until we began to witness it in action in the couples' stories. For instance, Sally Hare and Jim Rogers met in their workplace in South Carolina, and their story demonstrates this notion of mutuality and how they decided where to live. Sally had owned a home near the ocean, and they met later in life, and so she was ensconced in this home 2 blocks from the sea, while Jim had grown up in the mountains of North Carolina, and he felt most comfortable in that environment. When they fell in love, they had to decide where to live, and they sought a way to bring together their different geographical preferences so that each person's needs were valued. They held this question quite a while and eventually came up with a very creative approach. They found that they decided to build onto her beach house a mountain cabin that was spacious, and it looked like something you would live in North Carolina. And bringing those two things together, they both expressed being very happy with their choice. They arrived at mutuality. While we're all understandably self-centered, with mutuality, we're equally committed to the interests of our partners. And our decisions reflect that. In a state of mutuality, couples feel like they are both heard and respected, and they take time to make their decisions. When you do decide, the decision sticks because you're both in agreement. The win-win is especially present when we can find joy in our partners receiving good things from the decision. We're truly in this together. Though in practice we often fall short, this is when the grace of mercy and forgiveness reminds us to love each other and keep striving for mutual respect.
To conclude, we quote Bishop Curry one more time. Love is the firm commitment to act for the well-being of another. When we do so, our relationships, where 2 or more are gathered, become a sacred art and a spiritual community where we invite spirit into our hearts and homes and practice the profound teaching of our tradition and the greatest commandment, "Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind." The second is like unto it, "Thou shalt love thy neighbors as thyself." On these 2 commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Thank you for this opportunity and for joining us today.
Every day we go to war again. We assume we know so much more than them before we hear what they have to say. Headline breaks and we start to hate again.
to begin again. Open our eyes again to see each other's pain. I hope they see it, 'cause I want to see it. I hope we believe it.
I wanna see the love all around you, all around you. I wanna know that love is all around you. It's all around you. See how it lights you up, lights you up. See how it lights you up, lights you up. See how it lights you up, it lights you up. I wanna see the love all around you, all around you. I wanna know that love is all around you. It's all around you. It's all around you. It's all around you.
May your hearth and home be a refuge for the strangers who arrive at your door.
A gathering place for radical hospitality for your growing edges.
Make your relationships be a sacred art where spirit unburdens you from excessive self-interest and teaches you in the ways of love, of mutuality, equality, and tender care.
And may the blessings of God, who made us, who loves us, and who travels with us, be with you now and always. Amen.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you found a space to breathe, a faith you can believe in, and a God who believes in you. Visit us at bendfp.org. There you can get more information on who we are and what we're about. You can learn about how we're trying to make a difference in this world and how you can partner with us and support us financially. Or you can make a prayer request. Until next time, God bless.